Here I am, know it's been a while.
En LifeWave no trabajamos a la deriva. Tenemos un timón claro. Es la intranet de conocimientos. Ahí encuentras preguntas frecuentes, videos de inscripción, guías paso a paso y herramientas listas para usar. Un líder responsable no repite 100 veces. Enseña a su equipo a consultar la intranet. De esta manera ahorrarás tiempo, fortalecerás la autonomía de tu equipo y construyes un sistema que se multiplica. Duplicar no es improvisar, es seguir un sistema. Y ese sistema ya existe. La pregunta aquí es, ¿ya estás usando esta maravillosa herramienta como tu herramienta aliada? Lidera con inteligencia. Entra a la intranet. Enseña a tu equipo a utilizarla y que venga salud y muchos éxitos para todos.
Hoy te quiero dar una información poderosa. En tu ciudad, en cada casa, en cada esquina y en cada rincón, nadie conoce y tiene acceso a la información que nosotros tenemos. Fototerapia no invasiva, no transdérmica y sin químicos. Y lo mejor, toda esta información la tenemos organizada en nuestra intranet, con todas las herramientas que te llevan al éxito a ti y a tu equipo. Además, contamos con una patente exclusiva que nos hace únicos en el mercado y nos da la tranquilidad de trabajar por más de 10 años. Pero ojo, es clave siempre seguir las indicaciones de LifeWave, porque esa es la ventaja que nos mantiene adelante. El sistema ya está diseñado y el camino está listo para llegar a miles y a millones de líderes. Así que te invito a esta revolución de LifeWave. El momento es ahora.
Duplicar no es improvisar, es seguir un sistema. y ese sistema ya existe. La pregunta aquí es, ¿ya estás usando esta maravillosa herramienta como tu herramienta aliada? Lidera con inteligencia. Entra a la intranet. Enseña a tu equipo a utilizarla y que venga salud y muchos éxitos para todos.
En mi cuadra nadie más tiene acceso a la fototerapia no invasiva y no transdérmica. Solo nosotros. Es más, ni en mi cuadra, ni en mi municipio, ni en mi departamento. Imagínate toda la oportunidad tan maravillosa que tenemos.
Es la intranet de conocimiento.
Una ventaja que está solo en nuestras manos y una patente que nadie nos puede copiar.
Guías
Pero
paso a paso,
si trabajamos con desorden, esa ventaja se puede perder
para usar.
en segundos.
Un líder responsable no repite 100 veces. Enseña a su equipo a consultar la intranet. De esta manera ahorrarás
Por eso
tiempo,
tenemos nuestra intranet de conocimiento,
fortalecerás la
donde
autonomía de tu
tenemos
equipo
inducción,
y
capacitación,
construyes un
testimonio
sistema que se
24/7.
multiplica.
Todo lo que
Duplicar
necesitamos
no
en un
es
solo lugar.
improvisar, es seguir un sistema.
Por eso la ventaja está en nuestras manos.
Y ese
Y el sistema es
ya
el camino
existe.
para llegar a todos los resultados
La
más
pregunta
increíbles.
aquí
Únete al
es,
sistema.
¿ya estás usando esta maravillosa herramienta como tu herramienta aliada? Lidera con inteligencia. Entra a la intranet. Enseña a tu equipo a utilizarla y que venga salud
La luz,
y muchos éxitos
una
para
antigua
todos.
forma de energía que se remonta al amanecer de los tiempos. Para nosotros, el Sol es el principio de todo, la fuente de luz y de vida para todo nuestro sistema solar. Incluso Einstein concluyó que todo aquello de lo que estamos hechos contiene luz. Toda la vida se origina con el Sol, mediante la fotosíntesis. Las plantas y la vegetación recogen la luz, y todos los seres vivos emiten luz. Los seres humanos emiten de hecho luz infrarroja, que puede observarse con dispositivos de visión nocturna. Desde hace siglos sabemos que la luz ejerce muchos efectos sobre el cuerpo. Los parches de fototerapia LifeWave utilizan la luz para estimular los sistemas de curación naturales del cuerpo, brindando de este modo beneficios concretos para la salud. Así funciona esta tecnología. En primer lugar, se aplica un parche en puntos específicos del cuerpo. En las zonas donde los parches cubren la piel, la luz infrarroja emitida por el cuerpo se refleja y regresa a los tejidos. Este mecanismo estimula la piel, que a su vez estimula determinadas regiones del cerebro. A continuación, el cerebro interviene en el propio flujo natural de energía del cuerpo y en su capacidad de autocuración. Veamos por qué este mecanismo cobra tanta importancia a nivel celular. Por ejemplo, varios de nuestros parches ayudan a contrarrestar los radicales libres, moléculas de oxígeno que dañan las proteínas de las células y contribuyen a la aparición de los signos visibles del envejecimiento. Cuando se estimula el cuerpo mediante la fototerapia para que libere sus propios antioxidantes, estos radicales libres son neutralizados de forma natural. Los parches de fototerapia LifeWave favorecen un entorno que permite al cuerpo optimizar su poder restaurador y brindan beneficios concretos para la salud sin necesidad de usar fármacos ni productos químicos dañinos. Todo esto le ayudará a mantenerse sano y joven. Para conocer más detalles, póngase en contacto con su distribuidor. La luz, una antigua forma de energía que se remonta al amanecer de los tiempos.
Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X20 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero
La luz, una antigua forma de energía que se remonta al amanecer de los tiempos. Para nosotros, el Sol es el principio de todo, la fuente de luz y de vida para todo nuestro sistema solar. Incluso Einstein concluyó que todo aquello de lo que estamos hechos contiene luz. Toda la vida se origina con el Sol, mediante la fotosíntesis. Las plantas y la vegetación recogen la luz, y todos los seres vivos emiten luz. Los seres humanos emiten de hecho luz infrarroja, que puede observarse con dispositivos de visión nocturna. Desde hace siglos, sabemos que la luz ejerce muchos efectos sobre el cuerpo. Los parches de fototerapia LifeWave utilizan la luz para estimular los sistemas de curación naturales del cuerpo, brindando de este modo beneficios concretos para la salud. Así funciona esta tecnología. En primer lugar, se aplica un parche en puntos específicos del cuerpo. En las zonas donde los parches cubren la piel, la luz infrarroja emitida por el cuerpo se refleja y regresa a los tejidos. Este mecanismo estimula la piel, que a su vez estimula determinadas regiones del cerebro. A continuación, el cerebro interviene en el propio flujo natural de energía del cuerpo y en su capacidad de autocuración. Veamos por qué este mecanismo cobra tanta importancia a nivel celular. Por ejemplo, varios de nuestros parches ayudan a contrarrestar los radicales libres, moléculas de oxígeno que dañan las proteínas de las células y contribuyen a la aparición de los signos visibles del envejecimiento. Cuando se estimula el cuerpo mediante la fototerapia para que libere sus propios antioxidantes, estos radicales libres son neutralizados de forma natural. Los parches de fototerapia LifeWave favorecen un entorno que permite al cuerpo optimizar su poder restaurador y brindan beneficios concretos para la salud sin necesidad de usar fármacos ni productos químicos dañinos. Todo esto le ayudará a mantenerse sano y joven. Para conocer más detalles, póngase en contacto con su distribuidor. La luz, una antigua forma de energía que se remonta al amanecer de los tiempos. Para nosotros, el Sol es el principio de todo, la fuente de luz y de vida para todo nuestro sistema solar. Incluso Einstein concluyó que todo aquello de lo que estamos hechos contiene luz. Toda la vida se origina con el Sol, mediante la fotosíntesis. Las plantas y la vegetación recogen la luz, y todos los seres vivos emiten luz. Los seres humanos emiten de hecho luz infrarroja, que puede observarse con dispositivos de visión nocturna. Desde hace siglos, sabemos que la luz ejerce muchos efectos sobre el cuerpo. Los parches de fototerapia LifeWave utilizan la luz para estimular los sistemas de curación naturales del cuerpo, brindando de este modo beneficios concretos para la salud. Así funciona esta tecnología. En primer lugar, se aplica un parche en puntos específicos del cuerpo. En las zonas donde los parches cubren la piel, la luz infrarroja emitida por el cuerpo se refleja y regresa a los tejidos. Este mecanismo estimula la piel, que a su vez estimula determinadas regiones del cerebro. A continuación, el cerebro interviene en el propio flujo natural de energía del cuerpo y en su capacidad de autocuración. Veamos por qué este mecanismo cobra tanta importancia a nivel celular. Por ejemplo,
una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para
ella ni siquiera recibió los paquetes primeros que pidió y ya vendió hasta ¿cuántos son los que han pedido ya?
Usted es una fuente de poder, de crecimiento, de nuevas experiencias. Lo único es que todavía no lo sabe. Vamos a cambiar esto, ¿de acuerdo? Con la innovación en nuestro ADN, hemos redefinido lo que es posible, aprovechando el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo con la luz. Respaldado por la investigación clínica, X39 estimula la piel con bajos niveles de luz para aumentar un péptido esencial ligado a la renovación y al rejuvenecimiento del cuerpo. Esta tecnología de vida apoya la mejora del movimiento, la recuperación y el estado global de salud y bienestar. Usted forma parte de la generación fantástica, cambiando paradigmas.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science, at longevity, at exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave. A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better
Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por qué pasar de lado. Vive más, vive bien, vive joven. Sé la luz con LifeWave X39. LifeWave. Una vida empoderada no tiene fecha de caducidad. Todos hemos sido creados para hacer cosas increíbles, como conquistar cimas, subirse a las olas más grandes y vivir nuestras pasiones. A lo largo del tiempo, nuestros cuerpos empiezan a dar señales de que las cosas ya no son como eran. Nuestro nivel de energía se reduce, los patrones de sueño cambian y la recuperación se ralentiza. Pero nuestros cuerpos son una obra maestra del diseño y albergan el potencial de resurgir mejor que nunca. Con X39 conseguimos algo notable en el ámbito del bienestar y la ciencia regenerativa que otros no han logrado nunca. Aprovechando la exclusiva tecnología patentada de LifeWave, X39 utiliza la luz para incrementar el GHKCU, un péptido de cobre conocido por favorecer el bienestar general. A diferencia de la fototerapia tradicional que requiere fuentes de luz externas, X39 usa la luz infrarroja propia del cuerpo para aumentar la vitalidad de forma natural. Aumenta el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo para mejorar la fuerza, la resistencia, el rendimiento y el bienestar general. Con la simplicidad de un parche asequible, no invasivo y no transdérmico. Cuando envejecemos, los niveles de estos elementos que mejoran la calidad de vida y están asociados al bienestar y a la longevidad empiezan a disminuir. LifeWave ha invertido 10 años en la investigación de las células madre, con el resultado de más de 70 patentes. X39 nació para llevar al público un producto que pudiera apoyar al bienestar de una manera totalmente nueva, fomentando la producción de células más jóvenes y sanas con tecnología de luz en forma de parches. Convertirse en una fuente de poder es más fácil de lo que piensa. Aprovecha el potencial natural de su cuerpo para mantener su energía juvenil y vitalidad, porque la vida avanza a paso rápido, pero no tiene por... Usted es una fuente de poder, de crecimiento, de nuevas experiencias. Lo único es que todavía no lo sabe. Vamos a cambiar esto, ¿de acuerdo? Con la innovación en nuestro ADN, hemos redefinido lo que es posible, aprovechando el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo con la luz. Respaldado por la investigación clínica, X39 estimula la piel con bajos niveles de luz para aumentar un péptido esencial ligado a la renovación y al rejuvenecimiento del cuerpo. Esta tecnología de vida apoya la mejora del movimiento, la recuperación y el estado global de salud y bienestar. Usted forma parte de la generación fantástica, cambiando paradigmas y creando otros nuevos. Siempre hemos sabido que lo llevaba dentro. Ahora es el momento de que se lo demuestre a sí mismo. Sus aventuras no han hecho más que empezar. Descubre la potencia y la sencillez de hacer más con X39. Be the light. LifeWave. Usted es una fuente de poder, de crecimiento, de nuevas experiencias. Lo único es que todavía no lo sabe. Vamos a cambiar esto, ¿de acuerdo? Con la innovación en nuestro ADN, hemos redefinido lo que es posible, aprovechando el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo con la luz. Respaldado por la investigación clínica, X39 estimula la piel con bajos niveles de luz para aumentar un péptido esencial ligado a la renovación y al rejuvenecimiento del cuerpo. Esta tecnología de vida apoya la mejora del movimiento, la recuperación y el estado global de salud y bienestar. Usted forma parte de la generación fantástica, cambiando paradigmas y creando otros nuevos. Siempre hemos sabido que lo llevaba dentro. Ahora es el momento de que se lo demuestre a sí mismo. Sus aventuras no han hecho más que empezar. Descubre la potencia y la sencillez de hacer más con X39. Be the light. LifeWave. Usted es una fuente de poder, de crecimiento, de nuevas experiencias. Lo único es que todavía no lo sabe. Vamos a cambiar esto, ¿de acuerdo? Con la innovación en nuestro ADN, hemos redefinido lo que es posible, aprovechando el flujo de energía natural del cuerpo con la luz. Respaldado por la investigación clínica, X39 estimula la piel con bajos niveles de luz para aumentar un péptido esencial ligado a la renovación y al rejuvenecimiento del cuerpo. Esta tecnología de vida apoya la mejora del movimiento, la recuperación y el estado global de salud y bienestar. Usted forma parte de la generación fantástica, cambiando paradigmas y creando otros nuevos. Siempre hemos sabido que lo llevaba dentro. Ahora es el momento de que se lo demuestre a sí mismo. Sus aventuras no han hecho más que empezar. Descubre la potencia y la sencillez de hacer más con X39. Be the light. LifeWave. Usted es una fuente de poder, de crecimiento, de nuevas experiencias. Lo único es que todavía no lo sabe. Vamos a cambiar.
Here I
Recording in progress.
Used to get from
Recording stopped.
so everything from we were giving them basically a month and a half.
Regular doctor. I mean, I'm getting to where I go with her more often because my brain is not ready.
Yeah.
And I'll ask her what they say about this, but I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm like,
Apparently the call started.
I decided, okay, I'm gonna have to stop.
$3,000 due on May 1 for my level
We're just
3.
turning down the volume.
You looking for me, Jim? I'm gonna raise my hand.
Yeah, Jim, if you make me a co-host, I'll control some
There I
back credit.
Guys, just hang on one second.
Okay.
Me too, Jim.
How do you control this? Video, audio.
Good evening, everyone. It's so good to be here.
Hi from Mexico, everyone. Have a great day.
It's John Moore from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for jumping on this evening. If you could just go ahead and mute yourselves right quick while Jim gets everything together on the back end. Just go into the drop down and just hit the little mute button over on the side. Thank you so much. Laura, could you hit the mute button? Thank you. You know, it's a lot of love out there, a lot of good connections when you can ask somebody to do something. It's over 660 people do it all at the same time. So thank you all so much.
And a reminder to everyone that the YouTube can handle everybody. If we max out here, there's still space. And there will be a recording also.
Hey, Robin, it's Alicia. Can someone drop that YouTube link in the chat? Because I tried typing it in and it said it wasn't available.
Okay. Let's see who can do that. We will do that. Thank you, Alicia. So several people have put the YouTube.
Oh, sorry, I muted you, Robin. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat, and I can't guarantee they'll be answered, but I will be monitoring those to give to David.
Hey guys, we're gonna have a full call tonight, so got a few minutes left to go, about 8-9 minutes. So we're gonna keep everybody muted. So if you can help me out and keep your lines muted, that'd be greatly appreciated. We'll start here real soon.
They cannot hear you.
So we should show co-host right now with Gregory, Robin. We have David Schmidt online.
And Dr. Latrice.
Dr. Latrice.
And Mark Grove, for some reason, your line won't allow me to mute it. So if you could mute yourself, just in case there's some background noise, please.
So we're coming on, we'll be at 1,000 in the next 30 seconds. So David, if you could do us a favor and raise your hand so we can see you in our, there you go. Great. Thank you, sir. And for those who are trying to get on, they will have to join us on the YouTube channel where the lines are full 6 minutes before the meeting even starts. So this is going to be a great Zoom tonight. Looking forward to it. Gregory, are you back home yet?
Yeah, I made it home Sunday afternoon.
Good. Good.
And boy, am I glad he's home for many reasons, especially because of the puppy.
So is the puppy dog, huh?
Yeah. 11 weeks old.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, I'm going to mute.
Mark is still unmuted, and I can't mute him either, Mr. Gregory.
Yeah, I'm not able to either. So, Mr. Mark Grove, if you could mute yourself.
Do you guys know how to mute all so that nobody can unmute themselves?
Yeah, we do. We do.
No, I mean the host.
I'm
they're
doing right now, Dr. C.
Okay, thank you. So then that way we don't have to worry about anybody else, so there won't be any interruptions.
Right.
I love you too. You can put it on the TV, so I
So you need to uncheck the box. So like when you go mute all, the boxes automatically check there. You need to uncheck that so they're not allowed to unmute.
okay. Robin and Dr. Latrice, I just muted everybody, so you guys are also muted out.
For those 3 consonants in that one vowel.
You guys want to make me a co-host real quick, and I can unmute everybody, and then you can make me not a co-host anymore?
Go ahead and raise your hand, Stacey.
No, Julie.
Go ahead, Dr. Stacy.
Well, you need to make me a co-host real quick.
I got a message that the host asked me to unmute. Is that correct?
No, that was a mistake.
Okay. This is Lynette from good old Con.
Okay, we're good to go. Everybody's muted. Nobody has the ability to unmute except for the host and co-host. And you can unmute David just by clicking unmute, and he'll have to actually manually do it himself.
Right, I've already done that. Ask him to unmute.
Perfect. Nobody else, anybody coming in, nobody else at all can ever unmute themselves now except for you guys that are co-hosts.
Right, and we are a full house tonight.
And I'm muting out. I'm good to go. I just wanted to help you guys on that end so we didn't have people interrupting David and you guys talking.
Hey, Dr. Stacy, remember, you're going to be one of our featured speakers next week. So
yes, I'll be here.
Great.
Happy to support you guys.
Great.
Thank you.
Hey guys, we got about another 2 minutes here. I want to make sure that everything's streaming live on YouTube. So let me check that out. Okay. Those of you who just joined us, we will start in about 4 minutes here. So just invite your friends, send them to the YouTube channel. And that is also, I think we could probably post that in the chat if it isn't already.
It's in the chat several times. You have to scroll
Awesome.
up a while. So
Awesome.
yes, please invite people on the YouTube.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. My name is Jim Gilland. I live up here in the Pacific Northwest. I've been with LifeWave for about 4 years now. And my wife and I chose to get involved with LifeWave because of what we saw in not just the technology, the forward thinking, but the owner of the company. Matter of fact, the first time I heard our guest tonight, David SCHMIDT, the owner and inventor of our technology, was down in Florida a couple years back. And when I sat down and listened to this man and had listened to his talk on, at the time, X39 and the other technologies, he mentioned about a technology that he's working on with water. Now, my background, 34 years, I've been working with water technologies, 30 years full-time. And during that time, 18 of those years was working with a company that produced a water ionizer system. And great system, but it lacked in a lot of ways. As I did more research and study, and as I was there, actually one of the top technicians for out of those 18 years, almost 17 years, I worked on this technology. I learned how to tear it apart, put it together, how it worked, how to service them, all the ins and outs and of water ionization. And I saw the slides that were presented that David SCHMIDT was doing on research on water and how he could restructure that water through light, it got exciting for me. Matter of fact, as soon as the first break came around after that presentation, I went out into the hallways and started making phone calls because I knew we were on something that no one else in the world had. So I got excited, still excited. For almost 2 years now, I've been working with the X2O leadership team with LifeWave. They sent me a system, X2O system, about 7-8 months ago. And I started testing it, and I love to test water. And I've been testing water, this technology and other technology for a while now. And I tell you, the invention, the technology, the product, no one else in the world has this. And I've tested a lot of equipment. I've looked at a lot of equipment from all over the world that's been sent to me to do bench testing and to review and give my feedback on. And never have I ever come across one like this. So, David, are you on? Can you turn on your camera and unmute yourself?
Jim, great to see you.
I don't see you though. Let's see if we can get you up here on the.
Ah, there we go.
There you are.
Hey, great to see you.
Good seeing you too. I'm gonna go ahead and add the pin. Yes. Okay. So, where are you tonight? Are you down in Florida or over in Denmark?
It's a good question. I'm in Florida right at the moment. I've got quite a bit of travel coming up, but just a brief stop in Florida right at the moment.
Awesome. So, want to cover a lot tonight.
Yep.
And you know what? I have a lot of, like I said, a lot of different things I've done with the system. I've used myself to be a guinea pig. I remember the first time after I got my system, one of the messages you sent me was, hey, drink 1 to 2 glasses of water a day. And I said, okay. And so I started that way. But I want you to do is, if you could explain in a scientific but a layman's way how this water technology works and what makes it different from anything else on the market today.
Okay. Well, actually, what I did last night was I put together a short PowerPoint.
Awesome.
I'd like to show that because I thought, what I've been doing for the past 2 years when I've been talking about X2O, I've really been going over the development behind it and what the discovery was that led to this. And for those people that hadn't heard it before, I had made this discovery, this observation on light emission from lobsters, and that the wavelengths of light coming off specific regions in lobsters, namely the blood for one, the shell for another, that there was a mathematical code that linked them all together. And you could find this exact same code in the very first sentence of the book of Genesis. So I talked about that quite a bit. I've shown results from our clinical studies, but I realized that up until now, I haven't really explained the science behind this on how it's possible to trap light inside of water. So your team tonight, this is going to be the first time I've ever talked about this. So I'm really excited about that.
That's amazing. Yeah, you've got the floor. Let's go for it.
All right, let's do it. So hopefully I can share screen here. All right. Okay. Okay, so of course we're talking about X2O, and this is the first and the only water technology that will infuse water with light. Now, the benefit to this is that because the light gets trapped inside the water, when you drink the water, the light is released inside the body. So what are going to be the benefits to this, and how exactly do we do this? How is it possible? So first, we'll go over what the legal compliant claims are. Our studies, when we do them, we show a whole variety of different benefits, and then we have to put those studies in front of our legal. So some of the benefits that you can expect from this system is that first, it's going to improve hydration. So you can think of this like a structured water product. Normally, we take different types of minerals, add it to water, and it will cause the water to form a structure. So this reduces the surface tension in the water, and that makes the water enter the inside of the cell much more efficiently. So when we're talking about improving hydration, that's what we're really talking about. We see improvements in energy production, improvements in metabolism. You'll notice right away that the water is extremely smooth. Most people can drink an entire glass of this water very quickly because it is so smooth. It displays antioxidant activity amongst other things. And of course, we have a filtration system, a dual stage filtration system for removing contaminants. We've also designed this system to work with X39 and Celergize. So a good way to use this is to put your Celergize into the X2O water when you start your day, along with an X39 patch on the back of your neck. So all of these three products work together really, really well, and they have great benefits. So the basic way that we could describe the system, there's more to it than this, but the first and the most important part is that we have this light infusion technology, which I'll be talking about tonight, about how exactly that works. And then we have two different stages of filtration, which are on the side of the unit. One of these stages is going to put hydrogen into the water. However, the benefits that you get from drinking this water are not exclusively from hydrogen. The primary benefits are from the light infusion. So in fact, when we did our first 5 clinical studies, it was only on the light infused water. We hadn't infused it with hydrogen at that point. Okay, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. So light has been around a pretty long time. Light's been around from the very beginning of creation. But what exactly is light? What's interesting is that for most of recorded history, however long you believe history is, the greatest minds historically have not been able to clearly state what light is. Many people have had guesses, but we haven't been able to define it. And what's remarkable is that our health completely depends on light. Our body is designed to process light, and we even have photons, biophotons of light inside of our body. Yet we've had a difficult time defining exactly what it is. So that's an important question. So then, how do we exactly go about infusing light into water? That doesn't seem like it would be something that would be possible. So is there a scientific way to explain this? And there is. So to understand the complexity of this problem, we're going to take a very brief tour on the history of the science of light. And then you'll get a better idea of what I'm talking about here. So first, in 1672, we have Isaac Newton, one of the greatest scientists of all time. His thinking at that point in time was that light was a stream of particles. And he did these experiments with prisms, and he determined that light was a particle. And because Newton was so prominent, you have to remember, he gave us a gravitational constant. Because Newton was so highly regarded, his theory or hypothesis that light was composed of particles was accepted back in that day. But yet, right around the same time, other scientists were saying, well, wait a minute now. Light seems to behave like a wave. Light will reflect, light will bend. This seems to act more like a wave than a particle. So there's these two opposing scientific views. Which is it? Then in 1801, you have Thomas Young. Now, this is a very famous experiment called the double slit experiment. And it's so famous, people still talk about it today because it has some very powerful implications. But quite simply, you run photons of light through these two slits. And you can even turn the emitter down, where the emitter is only emitting one photon at a time. And what you get are these bands of light. Some are dark and some are not as intense. And this would indicate that light is a wave. So in other words, you can imagine some waves adding to one another and some waves colliding together and becoming destructive. And that would lead to either an intense light or a less intense light. So this experiment seemed to prove that light is in fact a wave. Then, of course, in the 1860s, you have James Clerk Maxwell, and he's known for Maxwell's equations. These are 4 equations that link electricity and magnetism. And one of the important things about the discovery that Maxwell made was that electromagnetism was self-propagating. What that meant was that you had an electric part, a magnetic part, and an electromagnetic wave would oscillate between these two. Now, he wanted to know at what speed does an electromagnetic wave propagate, and he calculated it to be the speed of light. So he reasoned that light must be an electromagnetic wave. So this seemed to settle any argument about what light is. Light is an electromagnetic wave. Then you have Albert Einstein. Now, we, of course, usually recognize Einstein for the theory of relativity, but in fact, he won his Nobel Prize for his discovery of the photoelectric effect. And what was important about this is that photoelectric effect is that if you take a piece of metal and you shine a light on it, you'll get electrons coming off. But what was found was that the emission of electrons from the metal would depend on the wavelength or the frequency of light. In other words, you could shine a red light on the metal and not get any electron emission, but then you could shine a blue light on it, and now we got electron emission. So that means that light is behaving more like a particle. So this was later renamed photons. So you can see the inherent problem here. We have experiments that are showing that light is a wave, and then you have experiments that are showing that light is a particle. So which is it? I thought we just proved that light was a wave. So is it a particle or a wave? And you can imagine now when people are skeptical about things, this is something that you can point to. Something as simple as light that we live with every day. The greatest minds, the greatest scientific minds in history didn't know exactly what it is. Then you have Richard Feynman, Nobel Prize winner, brilliant guy, between around 1940 and 1953, along with these other scientists, they come up with quantum electrodynamics. And quantum electrodynamics, what's really interesting about it is that it's the most precisely measured and tested area of physics. In other words, the calculations, the formulas that are used in QED have been shown to have an accuracy out to 12 decimal places. So this is not speculative. And in QED, light is thought of as a quantum object, meaning it is neither a particle or a wave. Photons can behave like a wave, or photons can behave like a particle, but they're actually neither. If you have photons being emitted from a source like the sun, in quantum electrodynamics, it would be said that that photon can take any path possible. And the photon is measured by its disturbance or excitation of space. But it usually will travel in a straight line in accordance with classical physics. But we want to think of photons as not being like these little balls, but rather these objects that show up in space. And that's important because it has everything to do with the X2O system. So that's a little bit of background, but you're probably wondering, what does any of this have to do with X2O? So now let's go ahead. There we go. Let's go ahead and talk about this now. We're going to fast forward to 2008 to Dr. Luc Montagna. And actually, when I invented X39, I was contacted by his office, which was an enormous honor just to be in dialogue with his office. And Dr. Montagna won the Nobel Prize for co-discovering HIV, but he quickly, after this period of time, migrated over towards homeopathy. And he had a belief that there could be, in fact, a scientific explanation for how homeopathy worked. And he was heavily criticized for this, which is interesting given that he won the Nobel Prize. But he believed that quantum electrodynamics could explain how coherent domains could be formed in water. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with homeopathy, let's use an example. Let's say, because we're getting into summer, that some of you have allergies, and let's say that you're allergic to pollen coming off of trees. You could take the pollen and you could put it into water, shake it. It's actually called succession, where you create a shock wave through the water. Then you dilute the water and you shake it again, dilute it, shake it again, until finally there's no pollen that's left in the water. All that's left is a coherent vibration. And then you stabilize it with something like alcohol or glycerin. And of course, many people in the scientific community have thought that homeopathy is quackery. But of course, that doesn't really matter because homeopathy happens to work. So Dr. Montagna wanted to say, well, how can we go about modernizing the concept of homeopathy? And his belief was, okay, we can look at water and we could say maybe there are these coherent resonant domains that are being formed in water. How would that work exactly? Well, water is a dipole, right? So we know water is H2O, just pure water, not talking about any minerals in there. But water is effectively a dipole. So dipoles are used in radio transmission. Dipoles are used to propagate or receive electromagnetic waves. And liquid water is an open system that can interact with electromagnetic fields. So we can see when you take a photon of light and it interacts with an object or a material like water, now it's going to come out of, let's say, the quantum domain and into our reality, and it's going to manifest itself as an electromagnetic wave or an electromagnetic field. So under very specific conditions, water dipoles can create these coherent domains. What does that look like? Coherent domain consists of molecules of water that oscillate in phase with a trapped electromagnetic field. What does that mean exactly? When you have molecules of water that get stimulated by wavelengths of light, we can create, under the right conditions, we can create oscillations that go from one dipole to another. And when that happens, you get a resonant cavity. And this resonant cavity becomes self-sustaining. So some of you have asked the question, well, how long does X2O remain stable after it dispenses from the machine? Well, that's going to depend. Are you exposing it to microwaves? Are you exposing it to ambient light? Are you changing the temperature? It will remain stable depending on what conditions it is stored under. But the important thing here is that we have, I would very clearly say this is a hypothesis because we haven't proved it. What we've proved through our clinical studies is that when you drink this light treated water, it has very profound, novel biological effects. So we can measure when within 15 seconds of people drinking the water, that there are measurable changes that occur that are very favorable inside the human body. So our working hypothesis is that what we're doing is we're creating, because of the X2O process, we're creating these self-sustaining resonant cavities that light or electromagnetic oscillations are being trapped and contained. That may be more information than you wanted to know, but there it is regardless. So this is the method that was patented that I came up with for trapping light in water. So important question now is what happens when you drink the water? Well, first, we're not going to go through this in great detail because I've done this previously and I want to get to your questions. But we've had multiple bioelectrical tests. So we could have something like EEG, heart rate variability. We have people connected to this. We take a baseline reading, have them drink a glass of water, and the average response time is 15 seconds. You can start to see changes in readings. I think on the first study, the worst that we did was 2 minutes. That was 1 person out of 20. 100% of the people have had measurable changes. In our studies now, it's about 300 people. We have never, not once, been able to see a person that would not respond to X2O. We have people that drink the water and say, well, I don't feel anything. But when you connect people onto equipment, you measure their blood, their urine, 100% of the time, we see a measurable change. Now, some of the things I've been really excited about, because it's so unusual to see this with a water product. We expect improvements in hydration. We can expect improvements in energy and energy flow. What was really interesting about X2O, because we're trapping 6 different wavelengths of light, we're able to turn on energy production and protein synthesis in the cells. So we see an improvement in metabolism of specific amino acids. We see improvements in metabolism for improving cognition. Glycine, which of course is associated with longevity. It's a backbone for GHK and glutathione. Valine, of course, valine is necessary for muscle protein synthesis, for collagen, proline for collagen formation, alanine, of course, we know forms carnosine and AHK, and leucine is the key amino acid that's going to turn on mTOR or muscle protein synthesis. And we even see activation of the KP pathway, which is used to manufacture NAD. And of course, a lot of people are interested in NAD these days because it's known to activate 2 of the sirtuin genes for producing anti-aging effects. Yeah, so that's in fact something that we did measure in an in vitro study. So we saw this in vivo in human beings through metabolism and also in vitro work that we're getting increases in NAD. So if this is something that you're interested in, I would recommend instead of buying an expensive NAD supplement that you just get common niacin. Make sure you have enough vitamin B3 niacin in your diet and you have the precursor to make NAD. And of course, when we do subjective questionnaires in our clinical study, we have people that report, hey, I drank a glass of X2O, I have more energy. People report improved mental clarity within minutes of drinking X2O. We've even measured improvements in circulation. And the benefits last generally 3 to 5 hours after drinking first glass. So in summary, with X2O, we're going to see improved hydration. And this is absolutely critical for optimum energy production and anti-aging. We're going to get antioxidant benefits from the infused hydrogen. The results are extraordinarily fast. what I recommend is for people to drink the water on an empty stomach. You can sit for a moment and feel the water working its way through your body. We can measure significant improvements in bioelectrical activity in the body. Improvements in metabolism, nutrient absorption. You can take a regular glass of water, put Celergize morning in it, and then you can take a glass of X2O. You'll actually see that the ingredients in Celergize dissolve more easily into X2O than regular tap water. And of course, that's one of the reasons why X2O is part of our product line, is because it complements all of our patches and our nutrition system. So with that, Jim, I'm happy to take any questions.
Great. No, I'll tell you what, that's some great information. I think one of the questions that comes up the most, especially in those who I'm in contact with, and like I said, I had a large international organization with another company that produced alkaline antioxidant drinking water. How does our system, X2O, differ from theirs? I know how it does, but how would you best tell someone that's having the question from a customer that, how does this compare to the other ionizers on the market today?
Yeah, so of course this isn't an ionizer. And what I would say is that there's many fine products on the market. There's plenty of filtration systems on the market, and those are things that we need. We need to take contaminants out of the water. There's nothing wrong with alkaline water products, water ionizers. That's one category. But where this is different is that this product is designed to produce specific anti-aging benefits. So where this technology differs so radically from anything else is that if we can take the very, very long history of light therapy and some of the modern information that we have today on how to activate the mitochondria, how to turn on collagen production with specific wavelengths of light. My initial concept with this is we've built an amazing company stimulating the skin with light, but what if we could put light inside of the body where we need it? And what if we could use water as a carrier? That way light could go everywhere inside the body. That was the initial thought that got me going in this direction. So this is the only technology that's available where we can put specific wavelengths of light into the body for turning on specific things. And with X2O, the goal is to turn on mitochondrial function, because that's really at the center of everything else that happens in the body.
That's great. Now, as we're looking at the system, there's two filters. And I know that some of the biggest concerns we have today are the forever chemicals, the microplastics, the PFASs, PFOSs. How do we do with those?
Very, very well. We're going through additional certification right now where we can make broad claims, but we worked with a manufacturer that specializes in high-end water filters, and this was actually a requirement that we had when we were designing X2O. Number one, we wanted to have 2 stages of filtration, not just one, and we had to be able to remove PFOS, PFOAs. We had to be able to remove heavy metals, chlorine, and the first stage of the filter in X2O will do that. The second stage is a carbon block, and that's principally used for generating hydrogen, although it will reduce contaminants in the water as well. But it's the primary stage that removes the forever chemicals.
And then what you're mentioning there with the secondary filter, I have measured the pHs. It's a great pH, and the ORP, the antioxidant level is pretty amazing, and it's pretty consistent. One thing I noticed though is as I drink the water, when I first started drinking, I kind of had it was like a feeling of just peace and relaxation. I don't know how to explain it.
Right.
But one thing I did notice by the second day is that I couldn't wear my glasses anymore. And so I literally, with the optometrist, he said, you don't need glasses anymore. And so I've noticed a lot of improvements. I'm lifting more at the gym, a lot more at the gym. The shredding the weight, getting and muscle growing. I'm 70 now. You know, it's like,
Oh, wow.
you know, it's,
I didn't know that.
yeah, I'm 7 years old. So if someone is drinking the water, would you recommend 2 glasses in the morning? And would you recommend maybe the first glass just be X2O, maybe the second glass be X2O and Celergize? What would your recommendations be on that?
Yeah, so I would say it depends. It depends on what a person's objective is. So, you know, if an individual is trying to be an Olympic athlete, professional athlete, their goals are going to be very different than, you know, guys like us that are, you know, in their 60s and above that are looking for just anti-aging effects. So really depends on what the goal is. You know, you would say the same thing about diet, but just simply for overall health and well-being, 1 to 2 glasses per day seems to be a good recommendation. What I would be concerned about is someone drinking a glass of water later in the day, 5, 6 o'clock. It may have a stimulating effect where they may not be able to get to sleep. That's happened to me on more than one occasion. So everybody has to kind of judge for themselves, but that would be something that that would be something someone should look for, is if they're drinking the water too late in the day, it may affect the quality of their sleep, actually getting to sleep.
Well, I tell you, and like I said, you know, I'm my worst, own best or worst guinea pig. I do drink 12 ounces with Celergize evening at nighttime before I go to bed, and I sleep a solid 8 hours. Don't get up for anything. Just, I got to set the alarm clock because now I sleep throughout the night. Before, I wake up with leg cramps all the time, like 3 to 5 times a night with leg cramps. Part of it due to past injuries, you know, but the thing is, I don't get leg cramps anymore. I sleep like a rock. And so
Celergize evening is a special case because, you know, we could make the argument that what it's doing is getting those nutrients into the cell where they're being metabolized. And of course, we know that taurine, nattokinase, theanine, magnesium, that's going to relax the body. So I think we could make that case. That would be an exception.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I say, you know, I've been drinking alkaline water for 18 years. And so my body has already gone through drinking the higher pH water, so I don't have any of the detox symptoms, you know, that someone else might when they first start drinking the water. So speaking of detox symptoms, what are some of if someone drank the water and they had a detox symptom, just like some people that used X39 or other patches, they might have a detox. I didn't. But what would you recommend to someone? Would you recommend that they drink less or push through the detox, continue drinking the water as recommended?
Yeah, again, that's going to depend on their overall health. What I would caution is if you had someone that had a lot of heavy trapped metals, they were a heavy smoker, the detox effect could be very severe. So they might want to tend to take it a little bit slower and drink a little bit each day, give them their bodies a little bit of time to get these toxins out of the system before drinking too much. They need to judge for themselves. We've had people that used X2O that they were post chemotherapy. So they had chemotherapy in their body and they took a full glass of water and they had a very, very severe detox from that. So they had to back off, wait 2 days, and then start drinking X2O again. So yeah, everyone's circumstances are going to be a little bit different. But I would say if someone has a concern about a detox, definitely take it slow. Drink maybe half a glass to start.
Okay, good. And a lot of people, you know, they want to say, well, the water's warm, I want to cool it down. they want to put ice cubes in it. My opinion, anything you add to the water is going to dilute the effects to it, because you're adding, ice cubes that are what might have chlorine or tap, it's tap water, chlorine, they have different pollutants in it.
Yep.
So I recommend that they would do is just fill up their water bottle, glass. Matter of fact, the X2O bottle that LifeWave sells is incredible. It seems to trap the hydrogen very effectively in the bottle. If you fill all the way to the very lid, very top, put the lid on it, put it in that fridge. And I've tested it when it's being dispensed throughout the day and, 8 hours later. And it loses very little hydrogen from the water. And so hydrogen being light and oxygen usually dissipates really quickly. But filled to the top, it's really been phenomenal.
Yeah, generally when we've done our tests, we have everything standardized. So we standardize temperature. We don't have any lights on in the room. And then, we're measuring stability over a period of 4 or 5 hours. But we recommend that when the water is dispensed, people should drink it right away, because then we can guarantee that they're going to get an effect from it. But certainly if people wanted to put it in a container, take it with them, they can do that. I would just recommend they would drink it within, 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. So, is it safe for children to drink? Or is it safe to give to pets? I heard people want to give it to the animals. I know that animals have a different pH. And so
we haven't seen any problem. This would be purely anecdotal. We have no reason to believe that pets and children can't drink this water, because it's only water and light. We have 3 dogs, well, actually 4 dogs in my family, and I can't share this testimonial because it'll get me in trouble. But let's just say my Rottweiler, she was having a problem, drank the water, and then she was fine. So yeah, we've actually seen with animals that they do very well with drinking this water. But again, we don't have a formal study, just that's purely anecdotal.
Yeah, you mentioned studies. What, we're at 7 or 8 studies now?
Yeah, I think it's 7. Yeah, we have a number of new studies that are in process. We're looking at athletic benefits to this now. We want to look at how quickly can people build muscle while drinking X2O and exercising and getting adequate amounts of protein. We're looking at antioxidant effects, effects on the mitochondria. Those are the type of things that we're looking at. There's a very fine line with this, because I'll give you an example. I would like to look at studies where we're measuring telomeres and gene expression and mitochondrial function, but we can never make those claims because they would be medical claims, and then the FDA would say, well, you don't have a water product anymore, this is a drug. So we're almost better off not doing those studies. So and we haven't, by the way, I should say, we haven't done the studies to show that X2O can lengthen telomeres. It's a hypothesis that I would like to explore, and not sure if we're going to do that or not.
Yeah, I understand the situation you get into there.
Yeah.
So, as people consume the X2O water, if they are taking any type of medications, do we advise against taking the medication with the X2O water, since the water being, I call it microclustered, smaller water, it enters the micropores, or the aquaporins very rapidly.
Right.
And so we don't want to put that medication in real rapidly. So what would you suggest there?
Yeah, so we can't be in a position where we're making medical advice, and we have to give the common disclaimer that if someone has any doubts, they should go see their doctor. But of course, most doctors aren't going to know what X2O is in the first place. So I would agree that if someone is taking a pharmaceutical, that they should be cautious, because the water does act like a delivery system.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Most doctors don't even know that much about water. I've taught all over the world on hydration, and I have over 400 doctors in my other team with the company I used to be with, and they really don't get that much training there of hydration. So
No, and it's a shame.
yeah, just like nutrition, you know.
Yep.
You ask them about X39 patch, well, what's that? You know, it's like Area 52. What are we talking about here? You know,
Yeah.
so let's do this. I've asked Gregory, and matter of fact, what I'd like to do is I got a couple of my co-hosts that have had some questions that they wanted to ask as well.
Okay.
So Robin,
Yes.
why don't you unmute and go ahead and ask your question?
Okay, I've got a lot of them, and
No, just one or two.
no, let's start. Well, what's beautiful is, David, you've answered a lot of them. A lot of
good.
people are asking about the glass that you drink out of. Is it important that it's amber? Is it blue? Is it clear? Does it make a big difference in how long the water lasts? There's an amazing amount of people asking about the glass.
Interesting question. I actually had a discussion with my daughter Kelly about this evening. Yeah, so that would be one of those, it depends. So if you were if you were dispensing X2O into, let's say, a blue glass, and this was going to be, you're just going to dispense it and then drink it quickly, I wouldn't expect that to have any adverse effect on the water whatsoever. However, if you were storing the X2O water in a blue glass and then getting light through it, we don't know what the outcome would be. There could be some kind of change. It could be that it's not as stable as long. The answer is we don't know. It would just be a hypothesis that we would need to test. But so I would say the conservative thing to do would be to use regular clear glass and then drink the water after it's dispensed. We know for sure that produces results.
Great, great. Lots of people are asking about international expansion. What are the plans?
Oh, okay. I'm glad you asked. Well, first of all, when we manufacture the machines and when we did the planning, and of course, this has taken us much, much longer than we had hoped. We did plan into the design that all we had to do was add an adapter to the power cord, and then you could use it in any country because it is a switching power supply. Right now, we are going through registration for all of Europe, Japan, Korea to start. And in Europe, we're going to be able to distribute X2O through our facility in Ireland. So we're all set up there. In Japan and South Korea, we're currently looking for order fulfillment centers. Put this in perspective for those of you that have X2O. It's not a small unit, and there are about 330 of those X2O machines that will fit in a 40-foot truck. So when we sold 1,000 units our first day, that was 3 truckloads of X2O machines. So this is not a trivial matter. So we're looking for partners. One thing I can tell you about South Korea that's very exciting, for those of you that are familiar with what network marketing is like there, in South Korea, they have a 35% payout cap, whereas in the United States, there's no limit. And this becomes a problem for networkers in South Korea. Well, what we found was that we could set up a system where we have a sister company to LifeWave in South Korea that distributes X2O, and we have the company that we have today distributes the patches. And by selling X2O through this other company, we're able to circumvent the 35% payout maximum. So we're very, very excited about what this is going to mean for our expansion into South Korea. But right now we've got Europe, South Korea, Japan, and we're hoping that before the end of the year, we'll be able to at least go into a pre-launch there. We'll see. You never know with the government.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Robin. Dr. Stacy, did you have any questions?
Hello. So I didn't know you were going to call me tonight. I actually have been taking lots of notes. I'm going to be interviewing David next week on my channel, so I do have lots of questions lined up. I've been watching in the chat, and there are quite a few in there that have not been answered yet. So if I would say anything, I would go to some of those questions that are in the chat that people have been asking, besides, you know, they're wanting to know Canada, Latin America, other places like that. So maybe just a possible timeline on that would be great if you could maybe share a little bit for others outside of Europe and Japan and Korea.
So mostly Canada and Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Canada we'll get to for sure. I don't know what the timeline on that looks like. Mexico, we're not certain. X2O is relatively expensive for the market in Mexico. So we haven't done an analysis to see how we might do there. But Canada for sure we'll get to, but I don't know where the registration is with that yet, what the timeline looks like.
Fantastic. And then the other thing on the filters, I know we had heard there were going to be a couple specific studies on those. NSF, are we NSF certified on those?
Waiting. Yeah, we had the original. This is going to sound crazy, but this is part of the, you know, pulling your hair out of your head exercise when manufacturing and designing this product. We got the filter, and it came with NSF certification. So we had everything we needed with this filter, removing the contaminants, forever chemicals, NSF, all good. We had to change the housing on the filter to have it accommodate the X2O cabinet. And as soon as we did that, we lost NSF certification. So we had to go back and retest. There's a little bit more to that story, but we know that we're going to get NSF. But that was one part of the trials and the tribulations of designing and making this machine.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that makes sense. Last question, they're wanting to know on, obviously, David, I know this, when you first started talking about this 5 years ago, when I heard about it, it was the size of a conference table.
Yes.
And now we're countertop, under the counter. So, of course, our brand partners, myself including, that travel all over the world, do you have any plans of making anything possible? Because I know right now you don't want to pick this thing up and move it. Number one, it's 40 pounds. But just to make sure everything's secure inside, any plans for making it even possible to have a travel size that could go like in an overhead bin or something?
I wish I could tell you what my plans are. I have to see what I'm going to talk about at conference this year. I'm really debating it. I'm not going to bring it up now. That wouldn't be fair. But I think what I'd say is, you know, the X2O unit is designed, of course, to process 2 glasses of water at a time, keep them stabilized. We absolutely could make a travel version of this that would be smaller, less expensive. We could make a decision and we could get rid of the filtration. And that way, you know, you get a bottle of water and put it into the unit. And that would save, you know, considerable amount of money. So absolutely, we could do that. I think, you know, because this has taken us so long to get this to market, we want to get through the product launch, distribute it out to our markets globally. We want people to be able to experience it. We want to be able to get testimonials and feedback and let this get a little bit momentum. And then we can say, okay, this has been a commercial, it's been a scientific success. We want to see, can we make it a commercial success? And then those product extensions like a portable unit, absolutely, that's something that we could do. That would be a pleasure compared to what we just went through.
All right. Thank you, David.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks, Dr. Stacy. Robin, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a few more important questions. I mean, it is amazing, David, that it takes out microplastics. That is incredible. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. People are wondering, is there any future plans of taking fluoride out?
Yeah, you know, we did look at this right at the beginning, and fluoride filters are relatively specialized. and we could not find a product where we could absolutely guarantee that it would remove fluoride. I know there's many products on the market where they claim it, but when you actually go down to testing it, and you're looking at your certifications, it becomes a little bit more speculative. So if this is something that people are interested in, which I think there's an enormous value to it, I'd recommend getting a separate fluoride filter and then putting that water into X2O. It's not something that we're going to offer anytime soon. I don't know if we're ever going to offer it, but there's certainly value to having a filter to remove fluoride.
Okay, thank you for that. And I want to encourage everyone to go to the resources in the back office under marketing tools and X2O resources, because a lot of questions that came up are answered in the FAQs. So I'm not going to go over those, but a lot of people are wondering, how do I turn it off? And if I'm traveling for a period of time, do I need to empty it? Is there anything I should be doing? And is it okay that it's on all the time? And I don't see an on-off switch. So what do I do?
No, there isn't, because it's better to leave it on. If someone was going to go away for a while, yeah, absolutely, you can drain it, then you can unplug it. But it's designed to be left on when you're home. So in other words, it's running all the time so that when you wake up in the morning, you can get a glass and it's ready, and you don't have to wait that 45 minutes. There is a cycle to the lights inside the unit, so the temperature of the water doesn't get too high. So in other words, once the first 45-minute processing cycle is done, the lights are going to turn off for 15 minutes, and then they'll turn on again to keep the water charged and active. So we do this, kind of like as a practical thing, so the water is always ready. But if you're planning to go away on vacation, absolutely, you can drain the system and unplug it. There's no reason to keep it on.
Okay. And I got one more, because I know we're at the end of our time. People are wondering if someone's not using the patches, will they benefit from the water?
Totally different technology, totally different set of benefits. So I think it depends on, like someone like Jim, for example. If Jim was just getting involved with LifeWave today, he may say, well, I just want to start out with X2O. That's what I want to market. I think for most people, starting with X39 from a marketing perspective has proven to be enormously successful. So I might recommend, when people are coming into the business, start with X39. Then you can upgrade people to other patches, to Celergize. And then, of course, if they have interest in X2O, I wouldn't discourage that. But I would say from a marketing perspective, maybe start with X39. But the benefits are synergistic, but they're all very, very distinct.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I see Dr. Latrice has her hand up, so I have a whole bunch more, but for now I'll be complete. Thank you, David. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Let me say something to that. I've sold thousands of machines worldwide, and I've serviced probably more than I've actually sold. My personal opinion is focus on X39 to begin with. I think they need to experience the X39, and then if they want to get the X2O at the same time or after that. But X39 it's the life changer, and people need to know it doesn't take a big piece of equipment to change your life. But the X2O water is going to be incredible add-on, and everybody drinks water. Everybody drinks water. So, Dr. Latrice, go ahead.
Yes, most of the questions from the chat have been answered, but just the opposite of what Dr. Stacy asked. The question was, are you thinking about a whole house water system? And so she was asking for something smaller, and someone's asking for something even larger. And thank you so much for all that you do for us, Mr. David.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. Actually, a few years ago, I was with my family, and we were at SeaWorld. And I was thinking, I think it would be really cool for the company to adopt a whale. or a dolphin. And I thought, maybe there would be a way we could take this technology and put it into the ocean or into the atmosphere. And we did this experiment where we created, I don't think we're going to do this now because I invented, I think, something better. But we were going to come up with an air purifier. And what this unit was going to do was filter out all the toxins in the air and then humidify the air with X2O water. So you could have a unit in your office where you'd be breathing in X2O water or X2O charged air all day. So that was kind of a concept. And another concept that we have, which we built, it was going to be like a light sculpture. So this was something that you would have in your home, and it would be composed of these beams of light, and it would energize the moisture in the air so that as you're going through your home, you're breathing in this energized air. So we've looked at a couple different concepts. For a home system, that's not something that we currently have in the works because the amount of time that it takes to charge or create the water is pretty significant. But I did at one time, I thought of getting these giant searchlights and modify them so you could put the X2O water into the atmosphere, and maybe we'd have a little bit more love and peace in the world, and we could heal people instead of these chemtrail nonsense things. But I actually think I've invented something much better since then, and I'm hoping to tell people about it someday. But yeah, I think we're thinking pretty far outside the box on this one.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you,
David. I really do appreciate you taking the time tonight. It's I've been very impressed with not just the company, the product, but you and your walk, your faithful walk with the Lord. It's like it means a lot to just not me, but thousands and thousands of people around the world. Your testimony has been huge. So I want to thank you. Thank your wife for letting us borrow you for the evening. And any last words you want to share with before we call it quits for the evening?
Yeah, well, first, Jim, thank you very much for your kind comments. I really appreciate it. And this is a really amazing opportunity that we have, that for the first time, there's a system where we can infuse light directly inside the body. And the beginning of this technology was really looking at how do lobsters defeat the aging process. And what I found was that in the book of Genesis, if we take first sentence of the book of Genesis and we convert the original Hebrew over into its numerical equivalent, we see these ratios form up. With that, well, we don't have a lot of time. This is supposed to be a summary, but very simply, we take segments of words, join them together, and we get a code, which is 777-888-999. And those numbers are at the same ratio as the wavelengths of light that are found in lobsters. And that's 550 nanometer, 630 nanometer, and 710 nanometer approximately. And so those are three of the wavelengths of light that are inside of X2O. So my belief is that when God created all things, he signed his signature in light in nature. And that's for us to discover. And we can take that information and we can apply it for healing in a way that's never been possible before. So I'm very, very grateful, very appreciative to the good Lord that this information was revealed to me.
Yeah, we're thankful too. So thankful. So thank you once again. Thank you for taking the time. You guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Next week, next Monday, we will have a panel of doctors, and we will be discussing the importance of hydration. And yeah, we're looking forward to that too. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, everyone. Great seeing you. Thank you.
God bless.
God bless.
Wow.